Hi, I'm Christy Turner. I am your Dementia Sherpa. I'm with DementiaSherpa.com, and I am here to guide you through the rough terrain that is dementia. Hi, Jones. My screen looks really dark. Do I look really dark too? I mean, I'll always take a tan, but holy cow. Hi, thanks for coming in. The lighting's a little weird, but that's okay. Appreciate people coming in. So today I wanted to talk about the 30%, and are you part of the 30%? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay, because most people aren't aware that the 30% even exists. So approximately 30% of all dementia care partners never accept help at any point during the disease process. And the reason is because they don't see any hope that anything could ever get better. That, to me, is one of the most heartbreaking things I have ever heard. And I found out this information at a conference several years ago, and I thought, how could that even be possible? Holy cow. But you know what? It's true. 30%. And if you think about how many people out there are care partners of a person living with dementia, that is a lot of people. That is so many people that aren't getting any help because they've lost all hope. And put a different way, what if you got a burn and you figured, well, I'm not going to do anything about it because it already happened. So what could possibly make it better? You didn't put any cold water on it. You didn't treat it at all. You didn't think that there was anything that could reduce the pain or reduce the damage to your skin. Kind of scary, right? I think all of us would do something about a burn. We got to get some immediate relief, and then we're looking at long-term results also. So it's the same for care partners of people who are living with dementia. There is help available. You don't have to do it alone. And when we're talking about a disease process that lasts anywhere from 2 to 20 years, that's a really long time to just try and rough it, right? That's a hugely long amount of time to try and rough it. So you don't have to do that. Things can actually get better. What I've found in my 15 years of working with over 1,000 people living with dementia and their families is the problem is most people just don't know how to make it better. And that's where I come in. I'm guiding you through rough terrain. Hi, Cynthia. Thanks so much for coming in. So you don't want to be part of that 30% who's trying to go up the hill alone, right? My logo is a mountain because I'm the Dementia Sherpa. I'm helping you through rough terrain. Nobody would ever dream of trying to go up Mount Everest without any help, right? No way, no how. Of course you get a Sherpa. Same thing when we're talking about trying to get through a disease process that lasts anywhere from 2 to 20 years. You don't want to try and do that alone. Definitely not. Hi, NY Faith. Thanks for coming in. And thank you so much for sharing, Cynthia. Drive safely. Appreciate it. Hi, Victoria. Thank you for coming in. So what I was saying, just to refresh. Hi, thanks for coming in. Wow, look at that. Team Bazin must be in the house. Lots of people coming in. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm Christy Turner with DementiaSherpa.com. I'm your Dementia Sherpa guiding you through rough terrain. And let me explain again for those that just came in, the 30%, what that means is I attended a conference several years ago and found out that 30% of dementia care partners never get help at any point during the disease process. That's a lot of people. That's a significant portion of people that are trying to rough it on their own for anywhere from 2 to 20 years, which is how long this disease process can last. 2 to 20 years. And the average amount of time is between 7 and 12 years. So 7 sounds better than 20, but it sounds like an eternity to me to try and do something on your own that you probably don't know a lot about, right? So again, that's where I come in. I'm the Dementia Sherpa, guiding you through rough terrain. And today, obviously, by what I'm wearing, I've had the privilege of working from home, which means that I was also able to jump onto several different scopes. And I just have to give a shout out to those scopers because they it just helped me pull a lot of pieces together and really think, 30% of people out there aren't getting any help. And you know what? We are all so connected now. The internet's the best thing since sliced bread, right? And then you throw in Periscope, you're looking for an answer to a problem or for some additional information. Boom. You can hop on a scope, find out what you need to know, ask questions. So there's really no need for people to suffer needlessly. That doesn't have to happen. And so just today, oh, I'm so sorry, Joyfully Me. That's really tough. I've been through it with 5 grandparents myself, so I definitely appreciate what you're going through. Been through it with 5 grandparents myself, and then also professionally I've worked with over 1,000 people living with dementia and their families. And that's one of the hardest things you'll ever go through, I know. So I was on the awesome Lisa Bechtel's scope this morning, and her theme was, you know what, you're never alone, no matter what you're going through. And she had a very specific topic, but again, her message was letting people know that there's help available. And sometimes you just need to be able to talk to someone who understands what you're going through. And I'm on pretty much all the social media sites except Snapchat, which I say is for the kids. So thanks for coming in, my Infolenda 7. So reach out because we all are so truly connected. Nobody has to go through this alone. And then for me, it is Joyfully Me. It's just dark here, so you can't see how old I actually am. The wonderful April Bolivar, follow aprilslead.com. She is a dog trainer, and on her scope today, she was saying you want to redirect or prevent behavior, and that's one of the things that I deal with a lot as a dementia professional, is helping people understand what do I do about behaviors? Because usually this is where it gets really difficult for families. Because if you don't know what to do, one moment can feel like eternity times infinity, right? It's just excruciating. And so it doesn't have to be that way. And of course, I'm not calling people living with dementia dogs, but I am saying that the awesome April Bolivar is onto something there. Some applicability in how we interact with people living with dementia also. And then I think one of the hardest things that people really struggle with, beyond that 30% who doesn't have any hope at all that things can ever be different, is the fear of doing something different, trying something new, which is really hard to do if you don't have any ideas about something that might work, right? So have to lead them through the day. Yes, human being, that's true, because when this disease has kicked into full gear, people have a lot of difficulty holding on to a thought long enough to carry it through to a meaningful action. And a lot of times they get tagged as being apathetic or a bump on a log, or they just want to sit there. They don't want to do anything. And the fact is, they can't hold on to a thought long enough to know what to do. It just goes by so quickly that they're kind of stuck. What do I do next? They don't know. So you do have to show them, exactly as human being was saying. Plan, structure, schedule. This is a major key to success. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Carpe Diem. So another scope that I've been watching and that I typically do watch is because I know her, and so it's kind of exciting when you know a famous person, right? but USA Today bestselling author Reagan Black has a daily scope with a theme. And since I do a lot of writing for my blog and I'm working on a book, I like to follow her. And, one of the points that she's been making this week is just start. It's okay to be afraid, but just start. You just got to start moving forward. And so I really say that's the same for us as care partners of people who are living with dementia is we've got to start somewhere. So if you're afraid of trying something different, I encourage you to ask questions. I'm happy to ask questions, ask. Yes, I've learned a lot by asking questions too, but I'm happy to answer your questions because I do understand that fear. I remember very, very well way back when, my very first day as a professional, oh my gosh, I sucked. It was horrible. If you'd seen me in action that first day, you never would have predicted that I'd go on to become an expert and to have a business and to help so many people, because you would have thought, oh my God, this girl is hopeless. But, you do have to start somewhere. Even when you have that experience of your gut is just churning and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So I'm really passionate about helping people know what's the next thing. What can we do that can make life better, both for you and for your loved one? Thanks for coming in, Teen Coach Diva. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. But the main message for today, two main messages, is we are all connected. Korsakoff syndrome. Wow, you don't see that a lot. A human being. You're a professional too. You must be, right? Undiagnosed parent of a friend. Yeah, you must be a professional. So the first step for what human being, and I know you're a professional from the way you're talking. Oh, come on. You must be experienced. No? Okay, so what's the first step with what? With getting help or getting a diagnosis? Or if you could clarify a little bit, I'm happy to answer that question. So, okay, it's probably a longer question, so he's probably typing. Just concerned, have dealt with multiple people in the past. Okay, yeah, you speak like you definitely have knowledge. So if you narrow down the question for me a little bit, I'm happy to answer it. Korsakoff syndrome is not something that you hear just kind of out and about. In getting help in a diagnosis, you know what? I have a blog post up right now, actually. You can go to dementiasherpa.com, and it is 10 ideas for getting people to a doctor appointment, because I know a lot of times that's a struggle. You're not going to get her to seek help, and here's why. Okay, so that was a good question. Here's the reason you can't get people living with dementia to seek help. Right? And this is going to make so much sense to everybody. It's really common sense, but I'll explain it. So if you're telling me that right now I don't have this background, but actually there's a beach right behind me and it's breezy and sunny and I'm in Maui and isn't it great? I'm not going to believe you, because that's not my reality. I can very clearly see what's behind me, and it's not a beach, it's not open air, right? So when we're trying to tell someone, when we're using logic and reason for a person living with dementia, telling them, you need to go get help, for them it's the same as you trying to tell me I'm in Maui right now. No, that's not true. The reason why is their brain is telling them, I'm okay. 80% of people living with dementia have another condition called anosognosia, and that is they have no awareness that they have any limitations or problems. So I didn't see that, Chili. I caught just like a little bit of it, so if you can put that question back up, that would be great. So the more we insist to someone that there's a problem, the more credibility we lose. Does that make sense? So the more we're trying to use reason and logic, which is something that they lose fairly early in the disease process. So they can't use reason and logic. We're trying to use reason and logic. Our credibility is going down the toilet, and they're feeling like they can't trust us. Because if I ask you, who are you going to believe? Somebody who is telling you the stuff that your brain is telling you isn't true, or are you going to believe your own brain, your own experience? All of us think, okay, we believe the things we believe for a reason, right? because our brain is telling us this is reality, this is true, and then we have experiences that reinforce that. So for a person living with dementia, when we're trying to get them to go to the doctor and using that approach of you need to because there's a problem, typically that's not going to work. I am doing a special scope tomorrow at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. British summertime, so that we can talk about the whole getting people to a doctor. That's the whole topic. Hi, thanks. Okay, so my mom has dementia. Dad's the primary caregiver. I caught that much, Chili. Hello. Yes. Either way, human being. They both go to the same place. So, and the reason why is, so my website is dementiasherpa.com. And I have also, when I started the business, I had this clever idea, CTC, Dementia Care Management. That's the dumbest name ever, right? Who's ever going to remember that? Or, what does that mean? Huh? What? So I got with Cynthia Bazin, the smart chick, right? And she was like, hey, let's clean it up and make it simple. So thus Dementia Sherpa. And now, you know what? People don't really ask me what I do. They get it. So that's why I haven't had the web developer swap everything out. And some people do know me by the other name too. Thanks, Chili. I appreciate it. Okay, Cynthia, continue driving safely. We don't want any crashes, but yes, carry on in traffic. So did that explanation make sense about trying to get people to the doctor? Definitely, if you can make it tomorrow, that's fantastic. Noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. British summertime tomorrow, Thursday. All about getting people to go to the doctor. So if you are part of that 30% that believes that things can never, ever get better, what I have found in my experience as a professional for 15 years now, who's worked with 1,045 families and people living with dementia, as well as 7 personal experiences, including 5 grandparents, here's what I can tell you. I almost guarantee there's an easier way to do it than you probably know how at this point, because I've been privileged to have so much experience in getting to work with so many people, right? I've definitely refined a lot of things, and I'd love to show you how to do it and continue the conversation. You can find me at dementiasherpa.com on all the social media platforms that I know of that exist, except Snapchat. And I'm happy to answer questions and, like I said, guide you through rough terrain. So if you can join tomorrow, that would be fantastic. Thank you, human being. I appreciate you being here. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for coming in. And if anybody has any questions now, I'm happy to answer those. I'm always happy to answer questions. I think I'm better at answering questions than just spewing stuff. But again, don't feel like don't feel like it's mandatory for you to be part of the 30% who doesn't get help. Because again, when we're talking about a disease process that lasts 2 to 20 years, that's eternity times infinity. Don't be part of that group. You don't have to be. It would be like having a burn and not doing anything to treat the burn, not doing anything to alleviate the pain or to try to save your skin. It's true, we can't do anything. Where was the poster for getting them to doctor appointment? It's on the blog. So it is, I think it's called Dementia and Doctor Appointment. So it's dementiasherpa.com/ I think it's getting to the doctor, but I'm not sure. So the easiest way to go is dementiasherpa.com. Go to the blog. It's the top blog post. And thank you so much, human being. I'll be better prepared for a quiz tomorrow. I didn't think there was going to be a quiz. So if you had a burn, you would get it treated, right? You'd do something to alleviate the pain, something to try and save the skin. You can do the same when we're talking about a person who's living with dementia. There are ways to make it easier. There are ways to make it less stressful. And I'm happy to talk to you about that. Any opinions on using medical marijuana for folks with Alzheimer's? Okay. No, Chili, I don't, except for I'm real practical. So here's where I come at it. Like, who's going to be holding the joint or the bong or whatever the delivery method is? So because for people who are living with dementia, whether it's Alzheimer's or some other type, safety awareness is something that goes away fairly early on in the disease process. So when we're talking about something that requires fire, that could be an issue. Oh, but there are bakables too, right? So again, you probably wouldn't want somebody who's living with Alzheimer's to be baking. So there's that whole piece of it, the delivery method. And then as far as research, I haven't seen a lot of research on it. Typically, what we recommend is we don't want to do anything that's going to make memory fuzzy, right? So that goes for like taking Benadryl, for example. We wouldn't want somebody who's living with dementia to take Benadryl because that's going to make their memory worse. It's going to make it more difficult for them to focus in on concentrating and on thinking. We wouldn't want to use like Tylenol PM. So yes, keep the blowtorches away from mom. You're right there. So you can look at it through that lens then and figure what you think is the best idea for your family. I personally wouldn't recommend it for all of the reasons that I just said. Any other questions? Thank you guys for hanging with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who shared on Twitter. Especially appreciate Cynthia Bazin, the smart chick. She's absolutely amazing. And just, she wrote a great, oh, thank you, human being. Cynthia wrote a great blog post. I don't know if it was, I think it was last week, actually. And the question was, are you surrounding yourself with supportive people? Do you have a support system in place? And I read it and I just thought immediately, like, this is absolutely the core of what I'm talking about, because as Cynthia always says, alone we can do a lot, but together we can do so much more. When we're talking about dementia, the disease process is isolating enough. So don't try to do it alone. Okay, Chili's question is, my mom will repeat her name for hours. Have you seen this before? Not that particularly. I remember years ago there was a lady who would say repetitively, where do I go? What do I do? 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 And I mean, just like I'm doing it now. She would do that repetitively. And this was actually my very first job in working with people living with dementia. And so the nurses would just ignore her. That was because it was so repetitive that they tuned her out. And I said, what are we doing for this lady? Oh, she just does that. Which, honestly, I'm going to get real here. I thought was a bullshit answer. So, obviously, she had a question, right? So, what I found out through experimentation, her name was Helen. She was great. What I found out was that Helen had been a CPA. Okay, so she was a professional woman, and what she was expressing was anxiety because she thought she was supposed to be someplace, like her job. And she knew she was supposed to be someplace. She wasn't sure where, what she was supposed to be doing. So I tried one day, I brought her into my office and I had these sorting sticks, lots of different colors. And I asked her if she could sort those out for me by color. Boom, she did it. Then I asked her if she could make a tally of how much were in each category. Boom, she did it, right? Because I'm talking about a CPA. So this was going for kind of how her brain already worked. So the interesting thing is, as her brain was engaged in those tasks, she couldn't speak. She was silent because she was so focused in. I found out through further experimentation that when she was in a group exercise program, it was like kickball, she couldn't talk during that either because she was so focused on watching the ball. And the other thing really notably is that her anxiety dropped dramatically. So her brain was engaged in something else. She was very focused in on it. She wasn't feeling anxious. And then I saw the best thing ever. She smiled. She was smiling. She was enjoying herself. So she went from very worried, all of these repetitive questions, to actually being engaged and having fun, enjoying herself. So I would recommend for somebody who's doing a lot of repetitive questions. Oh, thank you so much for coming in, human being. I appreciate it. For repetitive questions, try to engage in something else that requires some concentration. And obviously, people living with dementia have a shorter concentration span, so it may be something that's swapped out. Maybe more than one thing. You know, one thing only lasts for a few minutes and then you change to the next thing. But usually something with sorting or counting works very well. So thank you so much, everyone. I don't know how long I've been talking, but it feels like probably too long. Thank you for coming in. I truly appreciate it. And I would love to see you tomorrow, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. British summertime. So yes, folding laundry is great. And you know what, Chili? One time I had someone say, well, he already folded all the towels, so you know, what am I supposed to do then? Well, grab those towels, shake them out, you know, not in front of somebody, but hey, here's another load of laundry. So somebody can do an entire linen closet, and a lot of times it ends up looking better after they've had their way with it, because people living with dementia can be very meticulous about those types of repetitive tasks. So, hi, Tonio. Oh, I recognize your picture. Hi, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. So just to refresh here before I get off, and I love, you know, if you watch the replay, appreciate that. I'm Christy Turner with DementiaSherpa.com. I am your Dementia Sherpa, guiding you through rough terrain. Today I was talking about the 30%, and that is 30% of dementia care partners who never get help because they have lost all hope that anything could ever be better. The reason I say this is bad news bears is because, one, if you burned yourself, you'd do something about it, right? You'd seek relief. You wouldn't just shrug your shoulders and go, well, you know, I already got a burn. What can I do about it? No. You'd be like, cold water, and maybe some kind of, you know, dressing or treatment or whatever. You'd do something. Yes, the burn happened, but you'd still do something to make it better. Same thing for people living with dementia. Life can be better. The thing is, most of us don't know, right? Because it's not like most people went to school for this. So that's where I come in, happy to guide you through rough terrain. There are easier, better, less stressful ways to get through a disease process that lasts anywhere from 2 to 20 years because, dear God, that's a long time to struggle. You don't have to. You do not have to struggle. Hi, great girl. Thanks for coming in. So, no struggling. Promise me no struggling. You don't have to do that. It does not have to be like that. Hi, Diet Girl. Thanks for coming in. So, instead of struggling, show up on Periscope. I'm happy to answer your questions. You can go to my website, DementiaSherpa.com, and I'm doing a special scope at a special time tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific, that's noon, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. British summertime, talking specifically about how do you get a person who's living with dementia to go to the doctor's office? How do you make that magic happen? So, happy to discuss that. Please don't be part of the 30%, and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. Now, if I can figure out how to stop, boom. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Tonio.